Hello everybody, Chris here with another Boxwood Tune of the Month. Welcome to Pittsburgh, where I'm joined by my pals in Chatham Baroque, the premier Baroque music ensemble in Pittsburgh. I'm joined by Scott, playing the theorbo, Patty, playing the viola da gamba, and Andrew on the Baroque violin. Today we're going to have a look at a beautiful Scottish air that was popular in the early 18th century and 19th century. This tune, Through the Wood Laddie, is one that you'll find in just about every collection published of Scottish tunes in the 18th and 19th century. And it's so beautiful, in fact, that it's also in the Bruch violin concerto, is it not, Andrew? Is it? I think it is. Anyway, you can check me on that. We're going to play this tune for you and talk a little bit about our Lost in Translation theme, where we're talking about ways that wind players might think about a tune like this and how to play it and make it come to life. And of course, we've got lots of scrapers, bowers here, and Scott plucking there. So lots of different angles to look at this. Another thing to think about is that William McGibbon, who put together this arrangement that we're going to play for you, was really a switch hitter. He grew up in Glasgow and was exposed to a lot of traditional Scottish folk music, but as he grew up, became very much involved in art music of the day. So he played both art music and traditional folk music. And it's a great springboard for us to take this little journey to think about how to play this. So here we go. Here's Through the Wood Laddie. What a nice tune. Let's see what these guys are actually thinking while they're playing some of this music. I'm going to carry you over here, and we're going to have a little visit with Scott here. Scott, what are you thinking about when you're accompanying a tune like this? What's job number one for you?
Well, I think the big part of my job is rhythm, keeping kind of the rhythmic pulse going. More so maybe in a dancey tune than this kind of slow piece, but this still has a nice, triple meter pulse that needs a good foundation of rhythm. I'm also, like Patty is playing the bass line after she plays her first melody, but she and I are both playing the bass line. I'm adding chords, playing the basso continuo, improvising. So I'm thinking of like the best way to support whoever's playing in the moment, through different ways of voicing the chords or different, arpeggiating slowly or more rapidly, or, just trying to color it in certain ways. If I hear you play something really beautiful in a certain way, I try to match that color. So I'm thinking of colors, rhythm, harmony mainly.
Is there anywhere that you're trying not to play, for instance?
Yes, for sure.
Like, tell me, what are the most important parts of the phrase for you, and what are the parts where you just want to get out of the way?
Well, I think a lot of the times, like if we have a repeated bass note, you want to give weight to the most important note. Usually that's the beginning of a bar, for example. So if you have like two Fs, you're going to probably want to play more of an arpeggio on the first, and just let the second note go a little bit, and it adds to the color. But if you do two in a row, it's very heavy, and I think it loses the lilt in the character. Yeah.
Cool. Just give us the shortest little introduction to this beast you're playing here, the theorbo.
So this is a 14-course theorbo that was used in the 17th and 18th centuries. It was invented in Italy. It's basically a giant lute. So it has the same tuning as a lute, but drops down an octave at the top of the string. So they call that a reentrant tuning. But basically it's like a lute in A. But you can finger your chords here. I don't know how much of the neck you can see, but if I bring it down, you can see this thing goes quite a ways up here. It's about 6 feet long, and the long strings. A lot of people ask me, well, why aren't you fretting those strings? But they're actually just tuned to a scale. So I can change the scale before a piece, but then I'm kind of stuck with those notes.
That is such a boss instrument. Great, thanks.
Sure.
Patty, you are playing a viola da gamba there, and that's a 6-string viol. Mm-hmm. You would call that a bass viol?
It is.
Right.
Yep.
So tell me, when you're playing this bass line here, and you're playing the melody as well, what challenges are you facing, and what's job number one for you on the viol?
Well, as you said, Scott is accompanying me, so I get to play the melody first, and the melody in the most simple version, but since I'm often bass oriented, it's a real treat to get to play the melody and to just really make as beautiful a sound as possible. No screechy notes on the high D, for instance. So it's nice to be able to play both the melody and then accompany for the remainder of the piece. And Scott was talking about, of course I pay attention to harmonic interest and bring out notes that are more rich or more, if there's dissonance, whatever. But this piece is in 3, and so Scott's exactly right that usually in that kind of meter, the third beat is the most calm. And so especially with the bowed instrument, it's really easy to just let that feather away the beats or the notes that you want to have shaped, and just sort of be very soft and delicate, and that's a pleasure to do that.
Well, it's sure a treat for me to play with you guys. With a proper viola da gamba and a theorbo. Oh, it's just heaven, and as you guys can hear. Okay, Andrew, you are playing a Baroque violin as opposed to a modern violin, and you and I are playing this whole tune. Actually, it's basically the same melody played for the A part and the B part. It's just the second part is an octave higher, for the most part.
For the most part, slightly different.
So you're playing the lower bit, I'm playing the higher bit. what are you thinking about as you play this? And remember that you're talking to a bunch of flute players who are obsessed with what we do with our breath to shape the tune. So particularly, tell us what's going on with your bow.
Mostly I'm just trying to sound as good as you. So I'm playing a very ornamented version of the melody too, and adding a bit more. So I am trying to keep the melody and the sense of phrasing that's been established initially in our arrangement with Patty, keep that basic skeletal melody in my mind as I add all of the filigree around it. I have to do that, or I find that I can get bogged down in that filigree and lose the sense of shape and line. And so there's a lot of that division writing that I think of as more fleeting and really sort of not in or leading or coming away from, rather than being the main event. And insofar as that pertains to the breath, I think it is important just to always, I mean, I have sort of this Mobius strip of a bow. However, I will say that the Baroque bow is more akin to the breath, in that it is this banana bow, and so it naturally blooms in the center of the stroke. And so my bow distribution has a good deal of at play too, wherein I want to certainly have the apex of any phrase, or the what we call a messa di voce on any longer note, sort of really be able to bloom and blossom in a vocal-like way.
Great.
Yeah.
So one of the things we're stressed and obsessed about at times is where to take a breath.
Yeah.
As a fiddle player, violin player, is that something that enters your thought process in terms of where you would pause or take your bow off the string?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I find that thinking of bow changes where a singer would breathe naturally, and often, of course, I'm accompanying singers with obligato parts for the violin, and I always need to be mindful of where they are breathing so that our phrasing reconciles. But yeah, I do often think of where a breath in the phrase would be, and there is that quality of actually breathing. And I feel like I'm my best player when, in fact, I am breathing with my bow, and my breathing represents the musical phrasing, in as much as my motion or bow strokes or up bow, down bow do. And that's something I go back to and revisit, and even think about when practicing, say, yoga, for instance, like and breathing through a motion, and to know that an inhalation and exhalation apply to different parts of a phrase.
That's great. Well, I'll just stick my head in here. Thanks, guys. Let us know what you think about this. I'm happy to hear from you. Thank you so much. Really great to have a moment to talk about what we're doing. As I say, give us some feedback. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you next month.